that ran from, prehistoric time, about 4000 BC, all the way until about, 400 BC. Here is a nation of people who survived as a political entity for thousands of years. You see that? And when you go into it, you do not find, any of the kind of, within Egypt, the tribal wars that you speak about. You understand that? You do not find any of the decadent behavior of kings that you find in Europe and in Asia and things of that nature. You see that? They have their social problems, they were grave robbers, but you do not find any of the decadence that destroys other nations. You with me? And and when you want to salvage a people, it is beneficial to study the society. You see that you have to come to Egypt now to study from a sociological perspective, from a psychological perspective. You see that? But a psychology sociologist that is not using the Western conceptual framework. You got to leave those behind and come as a child not knowing anything to see what is going to teach you. And then now you will begin to simulate. You see that? The understanding of, okay, what made this, to survive for 3,000 years as a political entity is awesome in the light of your question and your issues. You with me? Okay? To manifest the great production, like building the massive pyramids of Giza and so on, so much manpower and wealth had to be dedicated to that, and that shows, a king who is not a dictator or a tyrant, but one who's able to inspire the people. You see that? To make such great sacrifices of human personal wealth to bring about a celestial clock. That's what the pyramid gives us, a very celestial clock. Because it lets them know exactly when the winter solstice came, which is one of the holiest days in the life of ancient Egypt. Okay, I'll get into that some other point. But, Egypt is not the product of the Nile, like the white man says. They built all kinds of dams and canals and artificial rivers and artificial lakes and all kinds of things to create the agriculture, so that, so when you see, the world today, people not being able to feed them. In the same land like Darfur and so over here, where they cannot feed themselves. With all modern technology, we fed millions of people in ancient times for 4,000 years. People come from Asia to squat in Egypt to get food. When there was famine in Asia, they come to Egypt and we fed them. And things of that nature because they had such, So what is it that made, Egypt free of the kinds of civil strife and the kinds of things that's racking Africa today? It goes back to this concept I'm speaking about today. And I'm not trying to make a spiritual comment against any of the African nations, but I'm just trying to let you understand that, I'm just saying this is what made it work for Egypt. You understand? And if you go back and learn it and simulate it and then bring it back if you can, because it's a difficult thing. There's so many monetary interests, It's like, for example, I went to Ghana in 1985, the first time we went, and we tried to bring homeopathy, to them. You could treat malaria for about 50 cents a patient instead of what you will spend for the medication, things of that nature, the Western medication. Okay, for $5 you could treat 100 patients without drugging them and intoxicating them, and the monetary political system is against that. You understand that? Okay, but that goes back to what? A human self-image. People cannot, if this threatens, I can't say I can make a living that way. Yes, because you're just looking on the earthly, resources within you. So as soon as you see an impediment like an earthly man, with limited resources cannot overcome, the door is shut. So it's going to take a spiritual revolution. But I think there are forces working that by the time the winter solstice 2012 comes right, everyone's going to be forced to make some changes. Like it or not, they're going to be dragged kicking and screaming into the world beyond 2012. Okay? Those who become volunteer will either perish or be dragged into it. You see that? See, God has another idea. And I say to volunteer for that.
We like to thank